The Battleface podcast is broadcast live on Fridays and Sundays, and we encourage you to come hang out and chat with Bard and Dare live. Now, prepare to declare attacks. You are entering the Battle Phase. Country roads,
all my memories
gather round her. Miner's lady, stranger to blue waters. Dark and dusty, painted on the sky. Misty taste of moonshine, teardrop in my eyes.
Country road.
Hello, everyone. You have entered the battle phase. It is I, the Midnight Bard, your favorite bard, and joining me as always is Dare Denver.
I'm going with that.
Yeah, Dare Denver. Hello.
What was his name? What was his actual? John Denver.
Yeah, John Denver. You know, like he sang
Nice.
Country Roads. I want to say hello to Brother Gamma and Royal Gargoyle in the chat. Hello. This is gonna be a more relaxed episode today, because
relaxed and copywritten.
Relaxed and copywritten, yeah. Because we have this nasty tendency of planning for an art stream with friends and then not inviting them.
Yeah.
This is the second time in a row we've done that. Where it's like, we're going to do an art stream with friends. And then it's like, did you invite friends? No. Did you invite friends? No. So, okay.
It's like we don't have any friends to invite. We can't invite what we don't have.
We have many friends. We just don't invite them because, I don't know, like, I feel like this is something that I do with my family all the time. You know, like where me and my sister will be like, hey, you want to hang out later? And we'll be like, yeah, later. Just text me. And then, like, you know, like it'll be like bedtime and be like, hey, sorry I didn't invite you. I just wanted to stay home. And I'm like, yeah, me too. I'm like, I would have texted you, but I just wanted to stay home. You know, it's kind of that thing.
I mean, I run into that all the time where it's like, hey, just message me later. And then no one messages me. And it's like, thank God you didn't message me.
I know, right? Like, because in terms of in terms of like instant gratification, canceling plans is just the greatest thing ever, right? It's just like, no thanks.
Yeah, every week I'm like, hey, maybe we can just not do the show this week. And they're like, well, maybe we should.
Yeah, I mean, like, the thing is, I actually
keep taking that away from me.
I enjoy doing the show, and if I'm doing the show, I'm bringing you with me. But I guess
I also enjoy the show. Question mark.
Yeah, of course. We have King of Canadian Hill in the chat as well. Hello.
King of the Canadian Hill just dropped a new video. If you haven't seen it, go over to King of the Canadian Hill at youtube.com and watch it.
Yeah. Like, go ahead and post the link in the description, Dare. That way we all have it.
But I will do that as soon as I have the ability to. But I'm getting killed by a wolf on Fallout.
Oh, he's getting killed by a wolf on Fallout. Before we go any further, guys, please remember to like, sub, and share. It's the easiest way to support the boys. And to everyone listening on the podcasting platforms, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, etc., hello, welcome to the Battle Phase. We are so happy to have you. Watching this week, I'm not watching anything yet this week. The week hasn't started. I don't consider it the start of the week until it's Monday.
We literally discussed this before we started, Bart.
No, I mean, that's why I'm saying, I'm not asking you. I'm talking about me. So...
we already discussed what we were watching on Friday.
Yeah, so I'm planning on watching Psalm 100 is what I was going to say. You know, like, this is my plan. Like, this is what I will watch this week. I haven't yet, but, you know, that's what we're doing. And since this is more of a chill stream, if you guys got something you want to share with us in the chat, Dare and I will be happy to, like, just, you know, chat with you guys. So talk to us. What's going on in your world? And Wilo says, "Hola, amigos. Sorry I'm late." You are not late. You arrived exactly when you meant to.
Extremely late. You should be ashamed of yourself.
But I kind of had a couple of things that I kind of wanted to share. Like, like these are just like, things that I came across that didn't really fit into the Friday episode. Um, there is a user on the Master Duel subreddit that posted a comprehensive starter guide for starters, and this goes back to like something that you and I were talking about like a while ago there, where like Konami sucks at teaching players how to play the game. But this user that goes by Zarsus, XARZUZ, actually posted like a 16 slide comprehensive guide where he covers pretty much everything from like your resources on Master Duel, which would be gems and the crafting points, to like which starter decks are good to get started with. So like, his suggestion was either the
To
Salamangreat.
get started with.
Yeah, which starter
Yeah.
deck should you get started with? But he suggested Burning Spirits, which is the Salad deck, or the Blackwing's Pride, which is the Blackwing deck.
Both very combo heavy decks.
Both very combo heavy decks, yes. But like the thing is, these can win. The alternatives are
Yeah.
what? Utopia, Dark Magician, like. He also goes into like the breakdown of different types of decks, such as combo, control, and mid range, and even the subtypes such as stun, beatdown, ramp, and FTK. So, like it's a super comprehensive guide where he just like breaks it down like this is what this deck does. These are the cards that would be included. Should you play hand traps? These are the common hand traps and these are the best ones to use. These are the ones that you should always have. Here's a couple of staples and the ones that you should focus on crafting first. So, just kind of like a really really fun like quick read. You'll understand how to play Master Duel a lot better than you would if you just did like the what do you call it, the tutorial,
Solo gates.
the solo gates. So I think
Oh.
that's really really cool. I was like, yeah. Let's see. Looking in the chat. Brother Gamma says I need to watch the latest episode. I'm guessing he means Psalm 100. Uh, King of Canadian Hill says cartoon is sweet. Royal Gargoyle says, here's something I have been thinking about. Add more chapters to the file I'm struggling to work on in my mind. Okay, so he's Royal Gargoyle is an author who's been working on a Fire Emblem Engage fanfic, which is really, really good. And, like he's working on adding more chapters. Wilo says that he is ashamed because Dare has dishonored him by telling him that he is very late.
I mean, sounds like a skill issue to me, but yeah.
Brother Gamma asks, "Is this a response to what to Raron, where he said that he couldn't understand Master Duel after playing for 4 hours?" I don't think so. The Yu-Gi-Oh community it does a better job at helping new players than Konami does. Like Konami is so bad at helping new players understand the game, get good at the game, etc. But like it's been my experience that the player base is the most help that you can get. Like they are so good and like so helpful. Usually, if you meet a Yu-Gi-Oh player and you're interested in the game, oh, they will talk your ear off about everything that like they would advise on how do you get it started and etc. You do get some weird ones. Yesterday, I actually went by my locals there, and I was shopping for like some singles from the Megatons because now they have them, and it was my hope that I was gonna find like the Cash Tira Fenriers. I didn't, but I found a bunch of other cool stuff that I was like, I wanted that out of the Megaton, like the Prismatic Ariana, the Labyrinth Servant, and like a couple of like prismatic Exosister Ellis and Exorcister Martha, etc.
I think we talked about this after the show on Friday that
We did.
the stuff was just so dirt cheap in
Yeah.
10 that you could just buy. I think I bought the whole Labyrinth core, like in the rarity upgrade for like $20.
Yeah, like they were 99 cents plus.
So
I think
cheap.
I think
So
Ariana was
cheap.
like $3 and that was it. But
Yeah, the Labyrinth stuff's like the only thing in that's like worth any money.
yeah. uh, because Labyrinth is still a good deck, and Konami hasn't hit it whatsoever. Which I suspect they will when the new hand trap drops. But like we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. No, but what I was saying is, like the player base is super friendly, super fun, and whenever I went to locals and I was what's it called, just buying singles, there's a bunch of guys there playing Yu-Gi-Oh, and it was kind of the most hilarious conversation that I'm overhearing, because these guys are just like talking about serial killers. And it got dark really quick, because they're basically like, if you were to be a serial killer, who would you kill that where people wouldn't suspect? And it's like, oh, this is who I would kill. And I was just like, oh my god. And it's funny because the guy behind the counter is looking at me like, am I hearing this right? And I was like, I don't know, man, I just came in here for singles. Hey, by the way, do you have any Rite of Aramis here? It's just kind of like this really weird thing. Like eventually it's kind of like it devolves into a thing where the whole shop, like like all like 7-8 people who were there playing Yu-Gi-Oh are suddenly going like, hey, where would you measure like Ted Bundy to like the BTK killer? It's just like they're power scaling serial killers, you know what I'm saying? I was like, well,
Idea for a new show
I was
or
like,
next
this
episode.
is interesting. They're measuring their skills, like like their MOs, and like like how long it took for one to be caught over another. It was just like, I'm like, dude, is this like Death Battle, but you guys are using serial killers instead of fictional characters? What the hell? It was so weird. But yeah, so you know,
Works though.
yeah, your mileage may vary whenever you enter into a card locals. So I don't know what to tell you. Looking at the podcast, we have, let's see. Royal Gargoyle says it's a rough struggle and I don't want to mess it up. Yeah, but like if you don't try, then you don't get anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of like in anything you do, you kind of have to risk messing up in order to have the chance to achieve something great. It's not, everything requires practice, and a lot of the times it requires multiple attempts. You're not going to be great in the first try a lot of the time. Sometimes you are, but sometimes it requires multiple tries, and that's just kind of the thing it is. I've always said that, whenever you're trying something that you love or something new, whether it be a new hobby or a new job or a new passion, whatever, you kind of need to be aware that the first, I don't know, several hundred hours that you do it, you're probably going to be bad at it. And I look at that as kind of like the entry fee. You're going to be bad at this thing, and you're going to be bad at it for a long time, but if you can tough it out, you're going to be great at it. That's kind of the way it goes. Like everybody sucks at something until they're really, really good at it. That's just the way it is. Nobody who does anything great started out being great at it. So, yeah.
Well, I was watching a video about Adventure Quest. I don't know if you've ever played that. It's old RPG
Mm-mm.
flash game. But some guy actually played through the whole thing and was making like a kind of like a documentary esque video about it.
Yeah.
And he said that like the creator of that had made multiple like flash games before, and he always just like failed at making a good flash game
Mm-hmm.
or failed at making a game that worked. And then he finally he was gonna scrap Adventure Quest, but then he was like, I'm gonna upload it to the internet and see what happens. And it became like a super popular flash game. And
Yeah,
he said like the road to success is paved with many failures. So
absolutely.
you can't expect to just do something and succeed on your first try. You're gonna fail a couple times, but you gotta keep going,
Yeah,
keep getting
absolutely.
back up.
100%. And that's just the way it goes, right? You always hear about everybody who failed so many times before they succeeded. And the simple truth about it is that, everybody has it in their mind that it's a binary system, right? You either win or you lose. but the actual way it's kind of like falling down after having climbed a really high tree. Each branch you hit is a failure until you hit the one that catches you, and that's the success. You know what I'm saying? It's like fail, 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 win. And so that's just kind of something that you have to have in mind, is that you're gonna mess up more times than you probably give yourself credit for. But if you can tough it out, if you can hang in there, you are gonna win. And that's kind of like the mentality that you have to have going into anything. You know, it's like, am I gonna suck? Absolutely, I'm gonna suck. But if I can deal with the embarrassment of being bad, one day I'm gonna be fantastic. Let's see. Brother Gamma says, we got 5 people, and I got a question for all of you. How would you describe Bard's voice?
Like vinegar mixed with chocolate.
Vinegar mixed with chocolate, both tangy and sweet. I don't know
No, it's sweet, but it's also like horrible.
Soothing, says
Stop.
Wilo. The thing is, this is a question that I asked last night because I received a weird opportunity last night to apply to a studio that does voiceover for video games. And one of the questions on their application was, describe the quality of your voice. And I have no idea how to describe myself. You know, I'm like, dude, like I never stopped to
The
describe
guy
myself.
that likes to listen to himself speak doesn't know how to describe how his voice
Well, the
sounds.
thing is, I'm biased though, you know, because I know I like the way I sound, but I don't know how to describe it. If I were to describe it in any way, I'd be like, oh, I'm amazing. But I don't think that that's exactly what they were looking for. So I'm like, I need help describing this. And so I asked a couple of people, and you know, like one of the ones that I got was, and shoot, let me pull it up because I remember I asked it and I was like, oh wow, that nobody's ever given me a compliment like that, like that. I was like, that is wow, because basically, let's see, I asked about it and it's let's see, wait, I'm looking through. Aha, quick. Describe my voice quality. I need it for an application. And he says, you have an upbeat yet smooth tone that maintains both energy and clarity. And I was like, what? You know, it's just like, hold about what? And he's all like, yeah, you know, like maintain energy and clarity. You're exciting to listen to because you have a lot of energy, but the things that you convey are understandable. You don't get lost in the energy. And I was like, oh, thank you. You know, like just wow. King of Canadian Hill says, sweet sauce in my ears. I asked my wife, and my wife said soothing. What was the way that she would describe it? So I don't know. Would King of Canadian Hill says, would love to hear Dare's real voice.
I don't know if you can handle that.
uh,
I've been using this voice changer for so long that I don't know if anyone could handle my real voice.
yeah. I've heard Dare's real voice in real life, and it was something special. It really was.
It's like putting a bunch of shrapnel in a cement mixer and then turning it on high.
Yeah, you ever hear like shards of glass after like it's been shattered just like being crunched beneath like a heavy boot on gravel? It's like that. You know,
While nails are being dragged across the chalkboard.
it's very gritty, but like it's somehow very satisfying. Like it gives you goosebumps. I love it.
I think that was just an allergic reaction you were having.
Yeah, no, but here's the thing though. Like whenever I heard you in real life, I was like, "Wow, you sound nothing like you sound like on the internet." Like for a
See,
second.
that's a thing I get a lot too. Is like, yeah, I have a pretty decent mic, I think,
Yeah.
but it's just like I don't. I get that a lot that I don't sound the way I do on the internet. Which, fun fact, the voice that you hear when you speak isn't normally the voice that you hear that comes out
Mm.
because it's being like reverberated around inside your throat and all that.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like I actually like the voice that like I hear inside my head, but the voice that comes out is like I fucking hate it.
You got quite the compliment in the chat there. Somebody says that you sound like As the Raven Dreams.
Who said that?
King of Canadian Hill.
Find them and kiss them on the lips.
I wonder how Raven would react to that.
I don't know, but I can message him and be like, hey.
Yeah, messages.
The normal one that I get is that I'm monotone, which I can see that. I don't.
Yeah,
Really
you have kind of like
energy into my voice.
You have a very mellow way of delivering things, you know, where it's chill, you know, it's very chill. Yeah, you best pucker them lips, King, says Brother Gamma. But I guess you know, so like I had fun like auditioning for that thing. I applied and I created a specific voice reel for it because you know like I've been receiving coaching from like you know from actors regarding like you know well how do you do a reel, how do you write a resume, how do you like you know whenever you audition what do you do, you know, like so on and so forth. And one of the things that they mentioned is that what I had labeled as my character reel sounded too much like a narrator reel because they're like we can tell that you're reading from a book when you say these things. A character reel has to be more animated. So I was like, oh, okay, so you know, and I thought that I was being animated because you know I was using my tough guy voice, you know, like oh yeah, my boss told me that I needed to take care of business, and apparently that's not enough. You know, they're like, no, we need something exciting. So I have like this one voice that I use for my cat Goblin. And I'm using Goblin's voice. I'm like, I am the Lord of the Forests. They call upon you to fulfill your ancient oaths. So I put that in there and like, you know, also like one where I'm pretending to be a wizard who's looking for a cookie recipe. Like, ah, yes, the orb of ancient secrets. So just I did all of that and I uploaded it. I was like, yeah, this is the reel that I'm gonna go with. And it's funny to me because you know sometimes out of context, you know, whenever I enter my recording booth, I just say these things, but I know that my recording booth is beneath my upstairs neighbor's living room, and I can hear them talking, which means they can hear me talking. So in my head, I'm like, oh, they must think I'm absolutely insane whenever I go into the voice booth and start recording myself speaking like this. You know, it's just so I would pay money to know what they think about that, like just to hear their unfiltered thoughts.
Are you sure you're not crazy?
I mean, like I've been called crazy before. But that's when they put me into
Crazy?
a room full of
I was
rats.
crazy
Yeah,
once.
I saw
They
it.
put me in a room,
I knew
a rubber room with rats. Rats make me crazy.
You know what else is insane?
I fucking love the meme. The Bart's gonna hate this one.
Yeah, I know. Like Gargoyle
Man, you're
posted.
driving me crazy. It's just the fucking rat.
Gargoyle posted it in the Discord server, and I was just like, ah, oh. It's like they got me. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I have to tag Dare. There's no way. I can't. I have to. But let's.
I was crazy once.
We had someone on Twitter like post just like the longest thread regarding like the state of trap decks, and the whole idea was, you know, like because Labyrinth is super strong, there's a lot of people that are like calling for like the banning of certain trap cards because Labyrinth can search them, or calling for the ban of Ku Klok because Ku Klok is just too strong, you know, and stuff like that. And this person, Ava Lees, posted like just a thread where they mentioned, okay, look, and I kind of would like your thoughts on this there because I feel like they're kind of right. They're like, here's the thing. Yes, Labyrinth is strong, and yes, it can be kind of annoying to deal with a lot of things. So like if they know what you're playing, they can search the dimension barrier, they can search the Eradicator epidemic virus and activate it on you. And it just feels a little oppressive and unfair. However, the alternative is most trap decks normally weren't even considered good because they were so slow. And so, as opposed to the Labyrinth playstyle, which is dynamic and interactive and always like, looking for ways to build their board, and like it almost plays more like a combo deck or like a mid range deck, as opposed to things like, say, Subterror or Eldritch, where their win condition was flip 3 floodgates and let your opponent struggle, you know? So like the idea was like, okay, so what do you prefer? Do you prefer having a nice interactive game where you can kind of see where they're trying to go and maybe stop them from doing so, or would you prefer a game where like the trap deck just says you can't play, you better hope you draw your lightning storm or your feather duster game 2? And
Well, I mean, that's like they're basically the same thing, right? Because combo decks set up so that, well, okay, words.
mm,
Combo decks set up a field that you have to either know how to like break, or you just scoop and go game 2. Trap decks set 5 and pass, and then you either break the board or scoop and go game 2.
yeah,
Like it's the same thing. I looked up the Forbidden and Limited list,
mm-hmm.
and fun fact, there's not that many traps on the Forbidden and Limited list.
Yeah,
because traps are just so slow. The only ones that get used are the ones like Imperm that you can play from your hand, or like the Solemn cards are
evenly
usually
matched,
pretty decent. Evenly is pretty good.
mm-hmm.
But like traps are like out of the 3 card types, monster, spell, and trap.
Mm-hmm.
Traps are the least used because they're slow, and they're probably the most balanced because of how slow they are. But like,
yeah,
if they want to like hit Labyrinth, then yeah, go after like the monsters. The traps aren't really the problem.
I would say, yeah, probably the case that like the monsters are kind of the thing that's making Labyrinth so strong. But I feel like that's kind of a necessity for the sake of making a trap deck function.
Yeah, because traps are just bad.
Yeah,
like,
traps are very slow.
Looking at the traps that are banned, you have a Pointer of the Red Lotus, which is it's not great.
Now, I got that flipped on me the other day on Master Duel, and that sucks. Like a Pointer of the
having like people look at your hand and stuff, it's strong, but like a Pointer's not like super duper like the rest of these. Brand Expulsion is a new one that was added to the list, which is because summoning a gimmick puppet on your opponent's field that locks your opponents into gimmick puppets is pretty funny.
Yeah.
And then you have things like Imperial Order. Yeah, that one's really fucking strong.
Yeah.
Last Turn, really strong. Red Reboot, really strong.
I gotta say, I am
really strong.
I'm super happy that they banned Red Reboot, because Red Reboot would have been a staple in every side deck, just to kill Labyrinth, specifically to kill Labyrinth.
Yeah, and it's basically Red Reboot was kind of like the one that gets rid of hand traps, the spell card.
Called by the Grave.
Yeah, Red Reboot was basically the called by for traps.
For traps, yeah.
But
I want to say hi to Sunny Shine in the chat, just dropped in and says, in other words, do you like a troll deck to annoy enemies until they surrender, or do you use a deck that will add tactical skills for the challenge? And, I did have like that replay that I shared recently where it was me versus an opponent, and it was a Labyrinth mirror. And the thing is, because Labyrinth is capable of playing on turn 0 now, it was a very, very intricate web of interactions. Like, I had to think very far ahead to know, to kind of think. I was like, okay, he's playing Labyrinth, I'm playing Labyrinth. If I was him, what would I want to do to win the game? And I can tell that he was thinking the same thing. We came to different conclusions. He came to the conclusion of, I have to remove his monsters because his monsters give him advantage. I came to the conclusion of I have to remove his back row because Labyrinth lives or dies by its traps. So, like it was, I think it was like a 5-turn duel, and neither of us took any damage. My opponent lost in time because he took too long trying to figure out what he needed to do. Meanwhile, I, from the get go, knew just keep removing his back row. Every chance you get, pop a back row. Do not let, especially whenever I started seeing him set things that I knew were going to hurt me. Like, for example, he set Eradicator Epidemic Virus, which I knew that if he managed to pull off, was going to be a huge pain to deal with. So the moment that landed, I was initially going to pop like his Lady Labyrinth, but the moment I saw Epidemic Virus, I was like, oh no, that's got to go. So like remove that. So it was just kind of like this give and take where like we're kind of like just at a stalemate, and ultimately no damage was dealt, and I won in time because my opponent just took too long to decide on certain things. But it's that kind of thing where I'm like, see, but there was interaction involved. Whereas if this had been like, like an Eldritch or like a Subterror thing where it's like, okay, so we have Goes in Match active, we have There Can Be Only One active, we have what's it called, Rivalry of Warlords, we have Summon Limit, go. It's kind of like, okay, well, what am I supposed to do with this? Like there's no interaction to be had here.
I like to play Mystic Mine.
It's exactly what it is.
So I actually fall under that first of troll deck to annoy my enemies until they surrender. But you're over here like, oh, I love the tactics of the game. It's just like, nah, I'll fucking throw down Mystic Mine and just watch you struggle through 30 turns of drawing into nothing.
Oh god, do you remember when you weren't allowed to surrender in the OCG? Can you imagine being locked under Mystic Mine, but you're not allowed to surrender?
I would love that.
Oh, I would hate that so much. It's just like, okay, look, I don't have a way to out Mystic Mine. Can we please go to game 2, please?
Nope, you sit there and you take the 30 turns of drawing a card.
Sir,
passing.
you sit there or you forfeit. And I'm like, oh, I hate that so much. Let's see. Royal Gargoyle says, another thing new for me is trying to come up with an interesting things for his channel. Because he feels that doing Fire Emblem all the time won't be interesting. I mean, you got to do what you love, to be honest. Like you really do. Because that's actually what makes you shine as a creator, I feel. Like, true, like creators who play the newest and the most trendy things get the most attention. But
those are only like trend views.
Yeah,
you'll get.
Exactly. They're like
because
trend
if
views.
you're playing just like the modern game to be getting views, then people are going to watch you until that game is no longer good, and then you have to go to the next game.
Yeah. And yeah, go ahead, continue.
I was going to say, like Bard says, if you're doing something that you're passionate about, which we talk about this all the time, because passion is something. People can tell when you are really into something.
Agreed.
And if you're passionate about it and you're willing to talk about it and share your passion, then people will be drawn to that. I will say, like, pigeonholing yourself to like one thing is difficult because you're limiting yourself to that one market.
That's true.
With something like Fire Emblem, I mean, it has a pretty decent like fan base, but
yeah,
like if you found like other things that you like if you found like 2 or 3 different games that you liked and you could get a bunch of content out of it, it's good to have like backup things to go to.
I kind of figure that a little bit of variety is the spice of life as far as content creation goes. Like, for example, our channel is primarily card games, anime, and what's the other thing? Like,
it's supposed to be primarily Yu-Gi-Oh, but we've turned it into card games, anime, video games.
Yeah, card games, anime, video games.
Just things that we like.
Yeah. So, like the things that we like. Exactly. Because like there is kind of like if we focused entirely on Yu-Gi-Oh, like we probably would get a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh watchers. But the thing is, we're not just about Yu-Gi-Oh. Like we like other things too, right? And
Yeah,
if we
Yu-Gi-Oh people are toxic as fuck, so we don't want
well,
them here.
no, they're
Go away,
friendly.
Yu-Gi-Oh people. You're toxic.
No, they're not.
I'm
Stick around,
I'm
Yu-Gi-Oh people. You
joking. I'm
guys are
joking.
great.
I'm joking. We
uh,
love Yu-Gi-Oh
I also
people.
want to say hi to Siggy. Siggy just dropped in and he says uwu. So let's
I
see.
hate you.
Uh, King of Canadian Hill says 100% do what you love. F the viewers. Do not F the viewers. They're great. But let's see.
This just turned into like screw everybody.
I
Do
know
what you love.
everyone's like do what you love, which coincidentally follows the train of what I was watching previously, Love Live Sunshine, where like the school idols, they were told like, no, you're not good enough, but they're like, screw not being good enough. We love to sing and dance, and that's what we're gonna do. And I was like, yeah, get them, teen idol group Aqua. Show the haters how it's done. But let's see. It's about the spirit, not the clout. Yeah, absolutely. Like just get in there and do the thing that you love. If you love Fire Emblem, stick with Fire Emblem. I like Fire Emblem. That's why I have the Let's Plays every week. But let's see. I also love Yu-Gi-Oh, so that's why I talk about Yu-Gi-Oh and anime, and that's why I talk about anime. So and Dare loves VTubers and wrestling and just food. So we talk about that sometimes too. It's kind of like this collection of like, what is it that you love? Then like just let that be the thing you talk about, because the passion is palpable whenever you do. Like I remember like a couple of weeks ago, Dare, this might have been not the last episode, but the one before, we talked about R-Truth. And the moment I brought up R-Truth, you fucking lit up.
The
You were like,
motherfucker is great.
you lit up. And
You better have watched the video that I
yeah,
sent you.
I did. And so like that's the thing. Like whenever you talk about the things that you love, whenever you create content around like your passions, that content is just infinitely better than if you were just doing the thing that like that would get you views. So it's my recommendation as a content creator. And mind you, I'm a small content creator, so I'll be like, take that for what it's worth. But like I love it. It is what it is. Sunny Shine says, Royal, you can try free Steam games and see the response of viewers, maybe with optional co-op. Hey, that's a good idea. King of Canadian Hill says he loves Psalm 100. It is such a good anime. It is such a good one. I read the manga and I was like, oh my gosh. As a matter of fact, it's one of the reviews that I have posted on the channel. And as I was editing the video, I found out that an anime adaptation was coming, and I was like, oh goodness, yes, this is great. Yeah, to inspire a passion that makes your art what is what YouTube is really about. Yeah, absolutely. Can do karaoke.
Well, like for instance, let's look at King for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Like the dude makes like hand drawn videos. I want to say he makes them in MS Paint, but I don't know. And he just does it because he fucking loves it, and
Absolutely.
that's what like makes his videos so good, is because
dude,
they're like these goofy, funny little videos that he's hand drawn everything, and he puts so much time and effort into. I was actually in one of them.
Yeah,
and if I remember right, he had me voice act as a Canadian that was locked in a room, a rubber room.
Oh God,
a rubber room with rats.
Here we are,
and the rats made me crazy.
But like,
that was the most nerve-wracking thing ever, King. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. I re-recorded those lines like a billion times, and I was just like, I can't get them any better than this. I hope that this is gonna work.
Sunny Shine says, you can do karaoke and music for Fire Emblem. If you do that, Gargoyle, you gotta have me in as for a duet of Edge of Dawn, which is my favorite track in Fire Emblem. It's just so good. But let's see. Other than that, yeah, like there's a lot of different things that you can try. I mean, like you don't have to go with like the the most trendy, the most new thing. You can try a bunch of stuff as long as you're doing what you enjoy. Because trust me, I used to be an Overwatch YouTuber, and I can't tell you how fast I got burnt out of that. So,
I mean, Overwatch is just a game.
yikes! I mean, like,
Technically, still love the fact Team Fortress 2 has outlived Overwatch twice.
twice, yes.
Yeah, a game from like 2007 has outlived a game from like what 2016.
Oh yeah, yeah, and this
Twice.
Overwatch wasn't always bad either. I mean, like, which is kind of the thing. It's like it had eras.
No, Overwatch was great.
Yeah,
I loved Overwatch for the first like 4 or 5 seasons,
yeah,
and
it was
then it
fantastic.
just started going downhill.
Oh boy, and Blizzard has not helped it at all lately, man. It's just like they
Well,
just
the
keep.
past like 5 or so years, Blizzard's just been like actively shooting themselves in the foot
Yeah, yeah,
because they've messed up on. There was something that they did with StarCraft that was like messed up. I think it was like a tournament thing,
yeah.
and they've messed up with Heroes of the Storm,
Oh, Heroes of
and
the Storm did
then
not last long at all.
that sucks because I loved TOTS. Like I loved playing as Abathur
Yeah,
and Dahaka
yeah,
from StarCraft because those were just they were the two cool dudes that they did so much but also were terrible.
yeah, yeah. It is a thing, like Blizzard just like has been shooting themselves in the foot a lot, and it sucks because, dude, like Overwatch was a game that I fucking loved. I mean, it was my jam for like the longest time, and just watching it just go from like what was once hailed as just like an icon of the MOBA genre to now being like the worst reviewed game on Steam. I mean, just yikes. That being said, speaking of other things that are not doing as well as we would hope, the Tin of Dueling Heroes, 2023's most
It is
forgotten
doing
product.
exactly how well I was hoping it would do.
You were hoping
Once
it would do
again,
badly?
oh yeah, because like I've not bought Yu-Gi-Oh product in for so long,
Hmm.
and there's not really much in here that I wanted. Okay, so the Megatins are reprint sets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They usually have like maybe 3 to 6 new cards. The new cards I could care less about.
Mm-hmm.
The um,
Hold on, let me interrupt you for
reprints.
a second. Because Siggy says he doesn't really understand this $10. So basically, Siggy, the Megaton every year is a reprint set. So sets that came out before will have cards that were previous set. So like sets like, for example, this one comes with cards from Chaos for Battle of Chaos, Dimension Force, Darkwing Blast, Tactical Masters, the Grand Creators, all of which were like really good sets last year. So the next year they come out with Megatins that make cards that were super hard to get in those sets a lot easier and more accessible. So,
Or they make cards that were easy to get in those sets at a higher rarity.
or
So
yeah,
you could get a common that is now a super rare
yeah,
or an ultra rare.
exactly.
So people like me who like to have shiny cards can buy these and make their deck look better.
Yeah, exactly.
And for I think it's $25 a tin, right?
It's
Or
20 bucks.
20. It's like 20. Yeah, it's like 20 to 25. I think. You get 2 or 3 packs. I haven't actually opened one. You've opened one, so I don't know what the packs are like.
I've opened two.
But
It comes with 3 packs that have 18 cards each. Um,
yeah,
and it also comes with a promo. This particular one comes with a promo. It's one of 16 different quarter century rares.
which is where the first problem begins. Is they had too many promos and you
That's
only get one.
16, Darren. Like, holy cow. Now,
In a case, I think you get what 12.
you get 12 in a case, yeah. So you wouldn't even
Yeah,
get all of them if you get a case.
yeah. Well, you're not guaranteed even 12 different ones if you get
No,
a
that's
case,
right. You
which
could
is
get
the
like
thing.
two of the same, yes.
And like, is it you just get the one promo, or are there other promos with it?
No, it's just the one promo. It's the one quarter century rare and then 3 packs.
Okay, so I didn't know if it was like you get the quarter century rare and then a copy of each of the other cards,
No, no, no,
or
no. By no
but
means.
yeah, that's just horrible. And then getting the 18 cards, you're only getting what, it's two supers, two ultras, and then the prismatic secret for those.
Yes, if I'm not mistaken, there comes two prismatic secrets per pack. So
Okay, so it's two rares, two ultras, two supers, and then two prismatic secrets, and then the rest of
right,
them are commons.
and then the rest of them are commons. Yeah. So
And like
you
none of the cards in this set are worth anything other than there's like a handful that are worth like $5 and up, but
now
the up goes up to 10.
it's kind of a double-edged sword, I want to say, because you're right. The cards here don't have a lot of value. So if you're buying a Megaton, you're not buying it for the value. That said, the
No,
cards are actually good cards, though. You know,
yeah, like because it has the labyrinth stuff, it has the Kashtira stuff, it's
it has the
got
cash stuff. Yeah.
Libellion, and the thing that is good about these sets is those cards that are $50, $60. Looking at Libellion, those prices are now affordable
Yeah.
because I don't have to pay $180 for a playset of Libellion. I can pay $30.
You can now get Lubellion for $10 a piece. Yes, and same thing with Cashier of Fenrir. Cashier of Fenrir used to be like a $30 card.
That was like a $30, $40 card,
Yeah,
and instead of having to pay 90 to 120, you can now pay
30
30.
bucks. Yeah. So like it's good for like whenever you're a budget player. Whenever you're a budget player, if you get a Megaton, you're gonna get good cards in it.
Yeah, this is Christmas for the budget players.
Oh yeah, no, this is absolutely Christmas for the budget players. The one problem that I had with this year's Megaton, and this might not have been an issue for me if I hadn't been trying actively to get stuff throughout the year, but I actually did buy a lot of Darkwing Blast, a lot of Dimension Force, and a lot of Tactical Masters. So a lot of the cards that are being reprinted in the Megaton, I already have.
Well, that's I have all the cards. Like I said, all the cards that I bought because I was talking to you. I think it was Friday after Friday's show.
Yeah.
I was like, "Hey, I just spent this much money and I just bought all of these cards." And they were all cards that I already own.
Mhm.
It's just I wanted to rarity upgrade. So, like, the thing is, like, I want new cards. I don't want reprints.
I mean, yeah,
Like reprints are needed, yeah. But like me personally, I want a product that has more than three new cards because that's all that was in this was three new cards, and I don't
three
even
new
think they're
cards.
things that I use.
Right, like you had a Noble Knight field spell, etc. It's
Yeah,
something to be said, and this is me kind of like rehashing something that I've heard before about something different. Like, so somebody mentioned I hate floodgates in Yu-Gi-Oh. He's like, floodgates are the dumbest cards, and I can't stand them, right? And then somebody replied to them by saying they they're a necessary evil. They exist for a purpose, and the purpose is, sometimes you have somebody who's just not as good as the game, or like somebody who's new, and they need this type of card for the sake of slowing down the game so that they can feel like they have a sense of control and they can actually play. The Megatens, I feel, is kind of the same thing, where a lot of people will be like, well, it's just reprints. I don't want reprints. I want new stuff. But, it's kind of a necessary thing for people who might be getting into the game and need easy access to a lot of staples or to like a good
yeah.
deck core. And also for budget players
Like
who, we don't pay.
the entry fee to play a meta deck
Mhm.
in Yu-Gi-Oh is extremely expensive until the Mega 10 comes out.
Until the Megaton comes out. Yeah. And so, like it's a good place to get like deck cores for like really good decks. It's a good place to get staples. It's a good place to get things you missed. So for example, for the longest time, my Welcome Labyrinth normal trap from Tactical Masters was $30. Now you can get a Welcome Labyrinth from the Megaton for like $1. It's like,
Yeah, I was gonna say that they've got them like it's been reprinted 3 times now.
it's been reprinted three times
So,
now.
but without like reprint sets, we end up going back to Teledad format where to play at
Oh,
a competitive level, you have to spend like $2,000 to $3,000.
yeah, and I don't like, and
And
it's kind of like the difference between like Yu-Gi-Oh and other games, because like Magic players always treat their cards like they're an investment. Like you can buy a playset of a card and know that that thing's gonna gain value as the game ages. Whereas Yu-Gi-Oh is a little different because it's like they have a very generous reprint policy. Did you miss a card?
yeah,
Wait a couple of months, you'll see it. Like it'll get a reprint, no big deal.
the
And
only cards I would say you could actually like invest in on Yu-Gi-Oh are like the weird higher rarity
the
things like
weird
Starlights or
Starlights, yes.
these 25th century or the quarter century. Uh, the quarter century things are worthless right now, but
Mm.
I could see in the future them being worth something because they're going to be
Especially
a collector's.
especially if you have the whole set, right? Because the whole year
Yeah,
they've been releasing a whole bunch of them, almost in every set. Every set comes with at least two. So like if you have all of them from this year, then in the future it could be worth something. But we'll have to see. Like maybe in the 50th anniversary, who knows? Uh, I want to say hi to Zomber who just joined us. He says, "Yo." So yeah, like kind of a cool thing, the Megaton. But you know what? Speaking of like pricing issues, I found this really neat video, and I think I talked to you about it, where basically a guy who plays the Digimon card game asked the question, how cheap is the Digimon card game to get into? Because apparently it's one of the cheaper ones to get into. And
yeah,
basically the metric that he was using for this was he said, okay, I have this meta deck. This is a Digimon meta deck that is very, very high tier right now. If I were to go to TCG Player and sell my meta deck for full price, so if I were to get the best price for all of the cards that I am selling, could I afford a meta deck in a different game? And the answers will surprise you.
the answers really didn't surprise me.
The answers are the surprise. So basically, Pokemon is the cheapest game to get into. If you sell a Digimon meta deck, you can afford almost two Pokemon meta decks. It is so cheap, like because Pokemon does the thing that we've praised them in the past for, which is basically like, oh, we make cards in various different rarities. So that way, like if you want to bling out your deck, you can. But if you're a budget player, you know what? There's a lower rarity of it, so you can still have access to it. So Pokemon, like you could go out and buy a Pokemon meta deck and one or two of them using money that you earned from your Digimon meta deck. Secondly, and he chose the big three. He chose Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Magic, and then he threw in One Piece because it's a new one. So he's like, this is kind of like our baseline. This is how we kind of like measure up, right? And so Pokemon, yes, you can afford two meta decks. One Piece, it's like it's fairly new, so like a lot of cards haven't had reprints. So you can kind of afford like a full One Piece meta deck if you sell your Digimon deck. So, like you could probably afford like one and a half meta decks off of One Piece. The next one up was Yu-Gi-Oh! And Yu-Gi-Oh! Was like a Yu-Gi-Oh! Meta deck if you do not have any of the cards. So if you're just outright buying it, you don't have anything, no staples saved up, nothing, is one of the most expensive decks because they can range anywhere between $400 to $700.
That's like the staples are alone what kills like the cost because uh, like ash blossoms are usually expensive, imperms are usually expensive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh, just your meta cards,
Like
and
triple tactics thrust, etc. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
triple tactics talent even.
Yeah. So like
Even though these cards have reprints, they're still like $5 to $6 per copy on some of them.
$20 on Droplet, which I think Droplet's kind of like the median. Like this is one that's kind of expensive right now, but it's not as expensive as it used to be.
The cheapest ash blossom is like $3 to $4.
Yeah.
Which is not. It's not unreasonable. It's a lot better than back when they were $20 some for the Maximum Crisis.
Agreed.
Like 40 some.
Agreed. And
But like, it's still $12 for a playset. or
and
$9 for a playset.
and that's before you get into like the core of whatever your archetype is, which can be largely dependent. The one that he used for this particular video was Dragon Link. And so like Bestial
Which
Dragon,
that's not even like a super meta deck. Like
it's not even a
Bestial
super meta
Dragon
deck.
Link is,
Bestial
but
Dragon Link is, yes. Well, not anymore. Like it's not super
yeah,
expensive, is what I should say, because like now with the reprints of Lubellion, which at the time that he did this video hadn't been reprinted, so
yeah. But you have like Druis Worm, Lebellion. Uh, what was there was the one Magnamut.
yeah,
Those were all like expensive, and
they
those were
were.
the ones that you needed.
Magnuma, Lubellion, and the other ones weren't so like Saronir and Baldrake weren't that expensive ever. So yeah. So like basically comparing it to like Dragon Link, his Dragon Link deck that he would buy off of his Digimon deck, he could afford basically like 75% of it. Like he could afford like the core minus some staples, or the staples by themselves, not counting the core. So it was kind of like a choice, right? And
Yeah.
then lastly, Magic. Magic was heavily dependent on the format, because like your standard format, not so bad. It's actually about the same as Yu-Gi-Oh. Um, but like whenever you get into like Legacy and Extended and like like Commander specifically, it's like, okay, if you're trying to play casual, there are ways to make it work. If you're trying to be competitive, which is exactly what this video was about, you can't afford like you sell your Digimon deck, you can afford maybe a couple of Magic staples, and that's it.
Oh
So,
yeah, you can't. You wouldn't be able to afford like a CEDH deck with just however much money he made,
no, yeah.
because CEDH is like thousands of
It
dollars.
is thousands of dollars, yes. So it's insane. So his Digimon deck wouldn't have gotten him far on that. So
No.
I thought this was kind of an interesting video, because like kind of comparatively, you kind of get the idea. It's like, hey, well, I want to play a game, but I don't want to spend a lot of money. Okay, play Pokemon. Like, or I'm willing to spend a little bit. Okay, Digimon and One Piece is where you want to be. And like, oh no, I want to be competitive and I have money to burn. By all means, try Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic.
I want to be the very best
Yeah.
there ever was.
So, kind of a cool video. I thought it was a fun little experiment. I dig it.
Yeah.
Second, so speaking of like card games that you enjoy, Dare, what's your type? Because I was watching Shiori Novella,
What?
and she
Oh, yeah, those fucking shitty segues.
she had like this little clip that people made of her, where basically she was describing her type, and I'm sorry to say, Dare, but neither you nor I fit that.
Well, if we get archived, then we're
Yeah.
automatically fictional.
Yeah, I guess so. Like if we get archived, we're automatically fictional. But she prefers fictional guys, but they have to have a good head of hair and no facial hair. Which, even though as my Bard avatar, I have no facial hair. IRL, I have a very luxurious beard. So
It's kind of small. It's kind of small, but I don't know. I'm not gonna like get your hopes up there, but it's
yeah.
kind of small.
Well, I mean, yours is more luxurious
Now
than mine
my
for sure.
beer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But that being said, so it was kind of a fun thing that I was watching. I've actually been watching a lot of Shiori Novella, like I mentioned to you before we started the call. But like, basically because she happens to be live streaming around the time when I'm doing busy work. So like whenever I'm sitting at my PC doing busy work, that's when she's streaming. So like I'll just have her playing in the background, and like she talks about some stuff like, so for example, it turns out that she's a huge fan of a lot of stuff that I used to watch as a kid, so like Metabots and Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon and stuff, and I was like, oh, that's cool, like it's kind of a fun thing. But like
I think it's Narissa is one that like outed herself as being like old, because she was like back in the 80s or something.
oh,
And
yikes.
I think she was doing a collab with Bay, and she was like back in the 80s, and Bay's just like, wait, 80s, and the chat just starts calling her a hag because it's like apparently that's like a loving and endearing term for like the older members, just to be like, you're super old.
Yeah, I mean, like, it sucks whenever you out yourself like that, because then people are like, oh gosh, dude. Like, and this is another thing that happened
How old
yesterday.
are you again, Bard?
I'm in my 30s. But like,
Fucking hag.
this is another thing that happened yesterday at locals while I was there. The guys talking about serial killers. One of them goes like, "Hey man, like you seem kind of tired for it being a weekend." And he's like, "Oh man, like the job and I had to pay rent and this and that." And it's like, "Wait a minute, how old are you?" And he's like, "I'm 31." And he's like, "You're 31?" And then somebody's like, "What's the big deal?" I was like, I turned 29 this year." And he's like, "You guys are older than I thought." He's like, "How old did you think we were?" He's like, "I thought you guys were like 16, 17." I was like, "Okay, well, firstly, just at a glance, I'm like, absolutely not. No way in hell." And secondly, I'm like, I would have given you like mid 20s. Like, like, okay, mid 20s, I can kind of see it. And I don't know. I'm kind of one of those that I'm in my 30s, but in my head, I'm like, in my head, I haven't aged beyond 19.
In my head,
Zombie, 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 eh. But like, anyway, that was just kind of a funny story.
That's happened to it's actually happened to me, where we had this guy that started hanging around with us, and I just because I was the old dude at locals.
Mm.
Everyone else is in like their early to mid 20s, so I just assumed this guy's probably like 25, 26.
Mm.
He's like, no, I'm same age as you. I'm older actually. I was like, you fucking what? Why are you older than me? It's not that's illegal. Stop it.
Yeah, stop being older than me.
20 some. But yeah, like you don't really think about that kind of stuff. Like I don't. Whenever I meet somebody, like I don't ask, oh well, how old are you or whatever. It's usually you look to be about this age. We're playing card game, so go ahead.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that they're a lot older than what you thought they were. Like, oh, stop being old and decrepit.
It is what it is. The years start coming and they don't stop coming and they don't stop coming and they don't stop coming.
May he rest in peace.
May he rest in peace, Steve Harwell. And we're going to touch on a couple of things that Siggy says in the chat. He says that his type is based. And also, it's not about the size of the beard. And let's see. Also, he's...
I mean, Siggy's just objectively wrong in that.
He's also laughing at me because I'm now in the VTuber rabbit hole, apparently. So
yeah, you are. Like, I warned you about that multiple times, and you're like, what's Dare talking about? I'm going to watch VTubers.
King of Canadian Hill says that he's 41, and it's all good being a hag. And great, fantastic. I look forward to becoming the best hag that I can be. But also, let's see. Gargoyle says that he looks like a werewolf vampire. Too much hair and two great fangs. So, yeah, if you ever wondered what the Royal Gargoyle looked like, now you know. And to close off today, this is actually a tweet by creator of Naruto, Masashi Kishimoto, where he tweets a picture of Kakashi and says, if you could describe Kakashi in just one word, what would it be?
Old.
Kakashi's a hag. He's a hag.
I'm only given one word. That's the first word that comes to mind. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Siggy says ninja.
Oh, that reminded me. Back, I mentioned the Adventure Quest thing earlier. In that video, so I don't know if you've played Adventure Quest or not.
No, I haven't.
If you were, you could have a membership, which was like $20, or you could play as like a free player, and for free players you got one mana potion and one health potion every time you logged in.
Okay.
And you could only have one.
Uh-huh.
But like the game was hard and you needed to have like multiple. So if you remember, you could have 3 of each. But the thing that was interesting that I learned from watching this video was there were certain times where you would be fighting through like level
Mm-hmm.
and you would just have your health and mana restored at the end of it. And they said that the lore reason as to why that happened was because ninjas. That was it. It was just because ninjas.
I love it. That's excellent. So
Siggy said ninja, and I just instantly remembered that. I was
s-
like, oh,
yeah,
I need to tell him.
the one word descriptions for Kakashi per our chat: ninja, cheater, exists, copycat. And I didn't even give my. I guess like if I just looked at Kakashi and had to describe him in one word, it's just hair, because he has luxurious hair.
I thought you said air.
No, hair.
Yeah, I didn't hear the H, so I was like, what do you mean air? Explain air.
Nah,
How does air work?
I could also say bored because he looks pretty bored. But that's me. Anyway, that's actually the conclusion for today's shows, guys. Thank you. That's the conclusion for today. Oh, all the mush mouth. The conclusion for today's show, guys. Thank you for joining us and for checking us out on today. Like I said, it looks like our art streams are just cursed. Every time we're like, let's draw with friends, we're just like, nah, we're too tired. So
let's do this cool, fun idea. Did you do this cool, fun idea? No.
Sure didn't.
Did you? No.
So
well, maybe next time.
Maybe
Probably
next
not
time.
next time.
Maybe next month. Who knows?
Not.
You know, like maybe we'll get on our A train or whatever. But yeah, thank you guys for checking us out on YouTube. Please remember to like, sub, and share. You know, spread the love around. You know, give somebody the gift of the Oni Bros. And, you know, on our podcasting platforms, thank you for checking us out. We're always happy to see new listeners every time we check out our RSS dashboard. It is just the highlight of my week. And until next time, I have been the Midnight Bard.
I've been the Dareinger.
Adios.
Bye.